Slatestone Wealth Chief Market Strategist Kenny Polcari is joining me right now because of inflation. During the cycle, John Lonski, President, gentlemen, wonderful to see you both. Thank you very much for coming. Getting it done. Kenny, what was your reaction to what the job figures imply for increased interest rates as a result? I'm not shocked by the number. I believe it came in immediately away. I expected it to arrive immediately. In reality, it caused unemployment, despite the fact that it was intriguing that went down to 3.5%, yet it has no effect on anything to do with what the Fed is doing. Rates are still going to do in November, going to increase by 75 basis points. I believe that's fairly evident now. I believe you had earlier in the week that the Fed was about to pivot. Utterly overdone, and we're going to the market. I believe I will battle, yes, as we approach earnings season. Understand, John, many individuals are discussing the fact that we are still producing every year. Hundreds of thousands of jobs are created. However, the expectation is as follows: slows as the year comes to a close and the new year begins, year to over $100,000 per month. But what are your thoughts on the figures, and moreover, the fact that involvement, yes, my rate has dropped to 62.3. Surprised by the fall by the participation rate. You'd expect with more people will be affected by quicker price inflation. Would be obliged to go out and look for a job to pay you for you are aware of the erosion of buying power. Discussing the loss of purchasing, we may look at the wage now, power. Only 0.3% increased monthly in September of this year. That has dropped to 5% in the last year. That's a tremendous difference between 5 wage increase in percentage terms and CPI inflation. It is operating at 8.3%. which is a decrease in buying power of the wage that is unfavorable to consumers. I'd like to spend more money in the future. To mention that the Fed funds rate is expected to end the year at 4.4%. That will be available by 4.25 percentage points. Since the beginning, we have not had such a terrific year since 2022. Of a year-over-year rise in federal money, the standard for variable rate loans since the end of 1981, and, of course, occurred at the same time as one of the deadliest recessions in the United States history. Is that what you're anticipating? I hope the recession does not occur in 2023. Not that it will be that terrible, but you must anticipate a drop by the unemployment in the entire economy. Perhaps the unemployment rate is now 3.5%. Approaching 6%, and of course, with us, there will be a lot of discomfort, and this may have significant consequences if we delve into. Yes, 2024 is the presidential election year. Kenny, you make an excellent point. I'd want to go. Returning to what John just said, and then there's this wage decrease. The majority of Americans experiencing the greatest loss as a result of this is a research conducted by 3 economists at Dallas Federal Reserve Bank, and they discovered that actual salaries had plummeted. Even for the majority of workers during the last year, despite increased nominal income, prices are increasing at an alarming rate, and when you ski inflation is reducing anything, this is the most significant pay increase you've received. Wage reduced after 25 years. Well, John just made that point, didn't he? Inflation is currently at 8.3%, yet salaries are increasing. Employees are underpaid since the economy is only growing by 5%. Actually losing every month, so that should not come as a surprise. Nobody has been surprised by this. Sensing it, we, as well as you, can hear that. You can have a chat anywhere you go, which is convenient. Why, are we still seeing wages are under pressure to rise, yet they are not catching up with the inflation rate, and this will continue to be a problem for customers because inflation does not decrease at all. They will continue to feel this way. When we put a burden on the budget transfer from the end of 22 to the beginning of 2023, which I believe will be another, yes, it's been a rough year. What we're witnessing out there is incredible. In terms of inflation, a dozen eggs up 40%, coffee increased 17%. I'm talking about them. The items we purchase on a daily basis, it's not even 8%. It's really, let's take a peek forward, John. Since there is a presumption that inflation has reached its apex, I don't see that happening. We obtained the Consumer Price Index for you following week, and will be followed up on what are you according to the Producer Pricing Index. The CPI is scheduled to be released on Thursday. Unfortunately, Maria, you will be confirmed to be correct. I doubt that inflation has occurred. Skyrocketed, especially now that we have the most recent resurgence of increasing energy prices. Inflation, gasoline prices are rising. Come Thursday, you'll see an increase in inflation. The September CPI will be released. The headline figure may be reduced from 8.3 to 8.1%, but worse news is on the way via core CPI that excludes food and clothing energy awards. It accelerates and climbs. It's roughly 6.2 from essentially 0 to 6.4%. And your opinions on the market? Kenny's response, and it doesn't even make sense, include the recent increase in gasoline prices over the previous week that will not be reflected until the following month, although it is anticipated that this will continue to put pressure on the bigger picture market, just because it is already obvious that the Federal Reserve is not moving, and they will have to stay. If there is no inflation, we will be aggressive. Beginning to respond at all, and it doesn't feel like we're in my house. The concern was that we would fail. Observe this minor decrease in ticket inflation, then it was going to raise its ugly head, which I believe has potential may accomplish in November. If you love the video, please hit a like button and don't forget to subscribe the channel.